It feels like it was about time, right? It's about time that Eric Bienemy, not even about time, but Eric Bienemy lands another job in the NFL, but not as a head coach like everyone touted him to be. Maybe he's still that bad interviewer. Maybe he's got a past. I'm not saying any of those things are true about him. We'll get into that a little bit later, but nonetheless, you've got Eric Bienemy now as the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. And this honestly is the last place that I expected Bienemy to go. But kind of first reaction here when I see him go over is, okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and get it started off right here. Of course, we know this. Chris G, Eric B should be a head coach. Why the F did he go to the commies? Ouch. We got to hold that for the fans, bro. Ooh, I got to start reading your comments, bro. I put them on the screen. Here's why he went to the Commanders, though, and that's kind of the perfect comment to lead us in here. Eric Bienemy went to the Commanders because a lot of people say that since he's not the play caller in Kansas City, because the story is that Andy Reid calls the play. I think Bienemy draws it up. I know Bienemy, Mahomes, and probably Reid all draw up the plays, right? Andy calls the play, hands it off to Bienemy, into which then Bienemy relays it to Patrick Mahomes. And, you know, that kind of bothers some people because now they're like, oh, he's never been a play caller. He's going from Patrick Mahomes to Sam Howell. Like, what is he actually going to do? I think he takes this leap because you go and look at the Washington Commanders. I mean, they have not won or had not had a winning season. I want to make sure I have the numbers right here. Within the last 10 seasons, you look since 2013, from 3-13 all the way to last year going 8-8. They finished top 10 in points and yards on the offense just once. That was actually in 2015 when they finished 10th. And the next best finish after that was 12th, which came the year after. But after that, nothing above the 16th rank in the league for offensive points. You go to yards, their best year was 2016 as well. They were third in yards in the league when they were 12th in points. And then you go back to that 2013 year where they were 3-13. They were ninth in yards, but still 23rd in points. So the Washington Commanders definitely get one of the best offensive minds on the market, at least if people want to believe that. I know he's not a play caller. I know he's worked under Andy Reid. But just do a little bit of research and actually go back through that Andy Reid coaching tree and see that those people that move on from him, some of those disciples, they're actually faring decently well in the NFL. So we know, again, Bienemy running one of the best offenses in the league with Patrick Mahomes. Like, there really shouldn't be any doubt in our minds that Eric Bienemy is going to be a great hire right here, at least in the Washington Commanders aspect. Shout out Taylor, always looking out for him, Darby. Yes, that's my boy right there. Still haven't forgot about that New Orleans trip. I won't be surprised that the new owner would fire him. Okay, that's crazy. I think you're trolling now. I got to realize who you are, though, Christian. I won't be surprised if the new owner fires him. Yeah, that would be crazy. I don't believe that would happen, but that would be insane to see. Now, you know, there's a lot of questions out here of what is this going to do for Eric Bieniemy's legacy, right? He's a two-time Super Bowl champion. When you go look at his numbers that he's ran with the Chiefs offense in the last 5 years, which crazy enough, he has been on 1-year deals with the Kansas City Chiefs, which has given him the flexibility to get out of those contracts if he wants to and actually be able to go chase a head coaching job. Or if the Chiefs, for some reason, wanted to move on, didn't want to run it back with Bieniemy, that they would be able to get out as well. So some people say that's a lack of commitment. I could say it's 50-50. It's all about perspective, just like life. It's how you look at it. Was it for a lack of commitment or was it for flexibility, which I guess they kind of go hand in hand. But again, when you look at the points and the yards then that Eric Bienemy has accounted for with Mahomes and that Reid offense over the last 5 years, first in points, first in yards last year, fourth in points, third in yards the year before, sixth in points, first in yards the year before, fifth in points, sixth in yards, and then in his very first year, he was first in points and first in yards. So he has finished as the number one offense in yards and in points twice in his career, and he's never fallen outside of the top 6. So Eric Bienemy, clearly, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, like, he's been able to make this happen with the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, the Commanders being able to take advantage of this is going to be major for the Commanders' part. Now, you know, could this potentially stain Eric Bieniemy's tenure in the NFL because he's going to the Commanders, who are possibly the worst Ram franchise in the league? They're basically, I feel like they might be getting sold at a discount at this point because Dan Snyder just doesn't want to move off of the team. And we know that, again, it is one of the worst Ram franchises in the NFL between what happens in the locker room, the play on the field, the front office, like the drafting. It's rough. It's really rough. And outside of that defense that's kind of come around over the last 3 seasons, you can't really take any positives away from the Washington Commanders. again, talking about Eric Bieniemy's transition, you're going from Patrick Mahomes, who has more Super Bowl MVPs than Sam Howell does NFL career starts. Sam Howell has one NFL career start. Patrick Mahomes has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. So that's a big drop off there. That's a hell of a perspective for what Eric Bieniemy is really about to walk into. Again, we know about how bad the points and the yards were over the last 10 years. We know that they haven't had a winning season over the last 10 years. I want to say the season before that, they went 10-6. So now you're going to be looking at, is he actually calling the plays here? How is he going to mesh with Ron Rivera? We know that they have Antonio Gibson, and we know that they have Terry McLaurin, and we know that they have some offensive pieces out there that, hey, like they're not in some of the deep roster talks in the league, but we know there's weapons. And that's why some of the fans and some of the people out here are like, if the Commanders can get some things right, which one of these hires or this hire by Eric Bieniemy is getting one of those things right, they could possibly turn it around. Now, again, primed to take over a horrible offense. But here's the thing. Eric Bieniemy is not only going to be the OC, he is going to be the assistant head coach to Ron Rivera, who honestly at any point is going to be on the way out the door as well. Great culture guy. Respect Ron Rivera over the last 3 years, 7-9, 7-10, 8-8. So he's done a pretty decent job at cleaning up a team that went 3-13, back-to-back 7-9 seasons. And then they did have a winning season in 2016. They went 8-7-1. And then, in 2015, they went 9-7-1. So before y'all butcher me in the comments, let me back up. The Redskins to the football team to the Commanders did have a couple winning seasons after 2013. They had 2 of them actually in 15 and 16. But outside of that, it's just been rough. So again, credit to Ron Rivera for what he's done. But correct me if I'm wrong. If Eric Bieniemy's in the house, I don't care if it's for 1 year. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. We saw what he did with that Kansas City offense. Eric Bieniemy is going to get that job as soon as Ron Rivera is fired. I mean, who are you really going to go hire? Who would be your next smart hire? I feel like I'm blowing y'all's ears out. Who would be the next smart hire in the NFL? You've already got one of the smartest guys in the NFL in-house. He ran one of the best offenses. Eric Bieniemy made this move to show that he's worth more than just working with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill at a time and Andy Reid and just getting plays handed off to him. He wants to prove that he is a play caller. He wants to show how he can turn an offense around, and he's stepping right in the line with that Washington Commanders head coaching job. So I cannot knock Eric Bieniemy for what he's trying to do here. Again, a lot of people are like, this is stupid. This is crazy. What the hell are you doing with your career, Eric Bieniemy? I'm not necessarily thinking that way. Again, I was shocked when Bieniemy went to the Commanders, but it is what it is. It's done now. He's going to be there. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I'm excited to hear the praise and how people are finally going to give him his flowers in the NFL once and I'm not saying he's going to do anything major, but if he can at least get that offense to top 15 in the league, considering what they've been in seasons prior, it's going to be a win for both teams, clearly for the Commanders and clearly for Eric Bieniemy because of what he's going to prove. Want to check back into the chat here, Darby. Appreciate you. I'd rather be with Andy Reid and get more rings than take over when Andy retires. Yeah, that's a really fair thing to say there, Chris. Very, very fair thing to say. I don't think I can knock you on that one. No trolling. I really think they are going to use him as a scapegoat. If they do, man, that's tough. That's really tough if they do use him as a scapegoat because, I mean, this was a good hire. Like this was genuinely a good hire for the Commanders. And I'm not saying the ball is in their court, but like, of course, you can't really go any further or lower than one of the worst ran franchises in the league. But it's only up from here for them. Definitely only up from here